fugitive for the rest of my life. And I'll never be able to come back home. But is this really home without Sky? If only he were here to tell me what to do.
To tell you what to do? Who could ever tell you what to do?
But I've never had to make a decision like this. I'm in trouble, Sky. They're trying me for murder.
The whole world's against you.
The whole world is crazy. Somebody murders you and they do nothing about it, and then I accidentally shoot someone and they want to send me to prison for the rest of my life.
To prison? Oh, no, that'll never do. You weren't meant for being in a cage, Raven.
No.
You were meant to be free. Freedom is the most important thing in the world.
Yes. And if I have to run away in order to get my freedom, then I have to run away. Right?
That's right. You just have to run away.
Okay. Then I guess I better start packing.
Thanks.
I don't want to lose the business, honey, but don't you think you're overdoing that coffee routine? That makes number 3 now.
Well, it's not so much the coffee, Sid. It's more or less a place to just think.
That's what I figured. You haven't done anything but sit and stare at that cup till it gets cold. What's the matter? You got the blues, baby?
Well, maybe it's just the way the weather is today, huh?
The weather? It's spring, Calvin. The season of new birth.
Yes, it definitely is time for that.
Calvin, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, Sid was just complaining about the same thing.
I wasn't complaining. I liked the police protection. Hi there, handsome. Can I get you something?
No thanks, Sid. I'd just like to talk to Calvin.
Well, I'll let you do it.
So, what's up, Doc? You've got that funny look in your eye again.
I always get that funny look when something funny is going on.
You talking about Eddie Lorimer?
No, I'm talking about Raven Whitney.
Why, what about her?
Well, Geraldine Saxon called me. She just came back from a trip and, well, she'd read about my being suspended from the force.
Must have been a surprise. Bet she didn't know that you were the brutal type, huh?
No, that wasn't the surprise, Calvin. It was something she said about Raven.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, Spencer Varney told me that Raven was off on some cruise, an extended cruise. Geraldine Saxon told me that she spoke to Raven last night, at home at the Whitney Mansion. Now, Calvin, something's going on out there, and I am going to find out what it is.
Well, Damien, maybe one of them just made a mistake.
No, this is no simple mistake. Somebody out there lied to me, and I really doubt that it was Geraldine Saxon.
All right, why would Spencer Varney lie?
I don't know. He's a peculiar guy. Peculiar people do peculiar things.
Yeah, well, before you go kicking in the house and shooting in all directions, just remember that there might be some simple explanation.
Like what?
Like maybe Raven wants people to think she's away on a cruise. Maybe she told Spencer to tell that.
Why in the hell would she do that?
I would not begin to try and figure out how Raven Whitney thinks. It's probably the mystery of our time.
No way. Look, I'm not going to buy that story, Calvin. Look, first I hear that Raven is off on a cruise, fun cruise with this guy Johnny Gentry. Then I find out that Johnny's in town. Next thing, Geraldine is telling me that she's absolutely sure that Raven is at home at the mansion. Now, something's going on out there, and I'm going to find out what it is. You going to come with me?
No, thank you. And by the way, before you go kicking in any doors, I just want to remind you you're on suspension. You've got no official status.
Thanks for rubbing it in, pal.
No, I just wanted you to remember. I mean, before you go out there making noises like a police officer, temporarily, my friend, you are a civilian.
Well, maybe I can do more good as a civilian. When I break in, Raven can't accuse me of police brutality.
Well, she can't accuse you, pal, but she sure could accuse me.
That's right, Smiley, my love. $20 million in negotiable bonds. She said they're as good as cash. Can you imagine all that money in one place? Well, she thinks she's going to have to spend it over the rest of her life, though. No, by bonded messenger. I don't know, in her suitcase, I guess. Yeah, she's upstairs now packing. No, she sent him shopping. With any luck, we'll be gone by the time Spencer gets back. Oh, the doorbell. I better see who's there. All right, bye-bye.
Is Mrs. Raven Whitney here?
Here I am, right here. Just a minute. Right in here.
Would you please examine this, Mrs. Whitney? There are 50 packs of 2,000 each. These are the bearer bonds. And this is a list of each of their serial numbers.
Right. It looks good.
Would you sign here, please? And would you witness it, please?
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Nora, here. Give him this.
Goodbye.
$20 million. Doesn't look like much, does it?
I'm glad you got cash, too. You're going to need cash when you deal with my friends in New York.
Yeah, right. How do I know I can trust these people?
Oh, they know their business.
They also know I'm jumping bail, so they might just try to blackmail me.
Believe me, their business isn't blackmail. It's getting people out of the country, and you pay them a lot of money to do that.
Well, with this, I trust nobody.
Look, I have an idea. Why don't I go with you?
You?
Oh, not to South America, just to New York. Make sure my friends take care of you.
That makes sense. I don't know. I'm so confused. I don't know whether I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Maybe I shouldn't even go.
It's ridiculous to think of spending 10 to 20 years in prison when you should be enjoying your life.
I know, but I'm going to spend my life in another country, and that worries me. And what if I go to trial and they find me innocent?
Do you think that will really happen?
Well, maybe it will. I am innocent. I didn't deliberately kill that woman. It was an accident. That boyfriend of hers lied.
And they'll believe him, won't they?
Well, what if they don't? What if I got off? No, it's too important a decision. I need another opinion.
You can't get another opinion. You can't tell anyone about this, not even Spencer.
I don't mean I'm going to tell someone that I'm jumping bail. I just mean someone like Mike Carr. I could talk to him and get another opinion on the case.
You know his opinion. He's the one that presented it to the grand jury. That's why you were indicted.
But what if I talk to him as a friend? Yes, that's exactly what I have to do. I'm going to call Mike Carr right now.
No, it's not really true. We put it under the heading of little white lie. Now, wounds can heal at different rates of speed, but there are a lot of factors involved.
I see your point, though. You believe that Sammy was beaten up after Damien knocked him down.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And I just thought if Eddie Lorimer could be made to believe that the game was up, he might pull out of it. He might tell Sammy to drop the charges rather than risk being accused of perjury.
I don't know, Miles. Lorimer seems to be a man who holds a grudge. I think he's determined to pay back Damien for that arrest.
Damien Tyler's the one who ought to be holding the grudge. He's the one who nearly lost his life.
Well, I just hope he doesn't lose his badge this time.
Yeah, well, it's possible. Unless we can find some way to contradict the testimony of two witnesses now.
By the way, did you see the story Nancy wrote last week?
Yeah, I did. Should have made Eddie Lorimer very happy.
Well, I just hope the next story she writes on this subject will be about Damien's exoneration. Excuse me. Yes, Wendy. Raven Whitney. Are you sure? Well, okay. Put her on. Now, what do you suppose she wants? Hello, Raven. How are you?
All right, Mike, look, I want you to tell me the truth, and I want you to be completely honest with me.
Well, I'll certainly try to be.
All right, I want your opinion. What do you think my chances are? I mean, I want you to be honest.
Raven, I really don't know what you're talking about. Your chances for what?
I want to know whether or not I'm going to go to jail.
Raven, we must have been cut off.
Oh, God, he hung up on me.
Maybe he was busy. Maybe he'll call back again.
Their music.
But that's the way this artist works. Actually, there are very, very subtle differences.
Well, a bit too subtle for me, I'm afraid.
Now, of course, if they were hung as a pair, it would be... But that's immaterial because the artist has specified that they be sold to separate buyers.
Well, I hope you can find them. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Well, hello. How nice to see both of you again.
Me too.
Very nice gallery. I've never seen it before.
Thank you. As you can see, we do concentrate on the contemporary.
Yeah, listen, I want to thank you again for the party last night. It was really lovely.
Yes, me
I
too.
was so pleased both of you could come. And I do want to tell you that you six were without a doubt the most interesting group at the party.
Well, the Kavanaughs and the Cars are very nice people.
Well, you're not so bad yourselves.
Yes, if you're wondering, this is the portrait.
I'm so pleased you decided to bring it.
No, I'm the one that should be grateful. I'm really very kind of your father to offer to find out more about it.
Well, if anyone can, he can. And I'm very eager to hear what the experts have to say.
How long do you think it will take to get an opinion?
Oh, probably a day or two. At the most 3. I know you're anxious to get the portrait back.
Go ahead, Jody. Ask her.
Oh, is there something else you want to know?
As a matter of fact, yes, but it doesn't have anything to do with the painting.
Uh-huh.
It's about someone I met at your party last night.
Aha, I think I can guess. Do you mean that rather brazen young man who pretends to be an artist?
No, not him. Someone else, a servant of yours.
A servant? Which one?
I don't know his name. In fact, I don't even recall seeing him at all that evening, except when I was leaving.
You see, Jody had forgotten her purse and went back for it, and that's when she met the man. Well, you can describe him, can't you?
Yeah, he had dark hair and dark eyes, very serious expression.
Oh, that would be Joseph, of course. What about him?
I think I've seen him before, but not in Monticello. In Springfield on the day that my mother died.
Really?
Yes, in fact, he was coming out of her room when I was going in to see her.
Oh, that's unbelievable. I mean, it would be an amazing coincidence for Joseph to have known your mother.
Well, coincidences do happen, Miss Endicott. But you see, the problem is this man was wearing dark glasses and the hall was not very bright.
Ah, well, then that explains it.
Explains what?
Well, why you were deceived, of course. Oh, it just simply couldn't have been Joseph. It couldn't have been.
Are you sure?
People can look very much alike. It's like paintings. I was just saying to one of the customers...
But you see, Jody got a very good, close look at the man.
Nevertheless, you are mistaken. Judy, your mother died on... What was the date?
March 24th.
Yes. Let's see then. March 24th. That was 2 days before we were to open the Paris exhibition here. Yes. Joseph was definitely with me at the time. He assists me in the gallery, you see. I couldn't get along without him.
So then you're sure it couldn't have been the same man?
Yes, my dear. Absolutely sure.
Sorry I took so long, sweetheart.
Well, there you are. You could have bought about a dozen papers. I missed you.
I missed you, too. I forgot all about the newspapers. I was too busy bargaining for this.
What is it? Is it for me?
Well, no, you got to guess. I'll give you 3. No, I'll give you 2 guesses. You're too smart.
Oh, it's that clock, isn't it?
How'd you guess? I guess the antique dealer must have said it.
Oh, my gosh. You mean you got this just because I said I liked it?
Well, I think you said you absolutely fell in love with it.
Oh, yes, I did. But, my gosh, it did cost so much. It's ridiculous. It's about a month's salary, or 6 months if you count my earning power.
Don't worry about it. I managed to bargain him down a little bit.
Us Mallory's are pretty good bargainers.
Oh, look at that. It's just beautiful. Oh, Derek, it's the prettiest clock I've ever seen. Oh, thank you.
You are the prettiest girl I've ever seen.
Oh, are you always this nice? You're not? Is this nice stuff just honeymoon stuff?
I'm gonna resort back to my normal animal self once we get into town.
Oh, no. Is that what I have to look forward to tomorrow?
What do you mean tomorrow?
Well, you know, we're going home tomorrow. We talked about it. Well, I know you don't want to stay away from your work for a whole nother week.
I don't want to think about my work. I want to think about that honeymoon stuff.
Well, I told you I'll be just as happy starting my life as Mrs. Chief of Police. Look, and that way you won't have to miss the hearing. I know you don't want to miss that hearing.
Yeah, but I hate to have you keep making sacrifices just for me.
Oh, well, I'm not. I'm not really. I mean, I know you want to protect Damien, and I want you to be there. So we'll go home tomorrow, and then you can carry me across the threshold. You are going to carry me across the threshold, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know. My back has been...
Oh, you better. I am looking forward to that. As a matter of fact, I'm looking forward to a lot of things.
You are, huh?
Well, sir, here you go.
What for? You hardly drank any one of those 3 cups of coffee.
Yeah, well, it's not for the coffee. It's for the understanding.
Well, if you'd ordered tea, you would have gotten a little sympathy.
I could probably use as much of that as I could get to.
Listen, Calvin, do you mind if I remind you about something?
No, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to be a pest about this, but you did promise that you'd look into that story I told you, about the bank robbery in Flint.
You know, I knew I was forgetting something. I set my head to check that out at least a dozen times. It just keeps slipping my mind.
Oh, well, like I said, it's not urgent. I just want to be able to write my friend Maud and tell her that I'm not going out with a bank robber. Of course, I haven't seen much of Smiley lately. Seems to be pretty busy with that Nora, what's her name?
Oh, Spencer, we're here.
He'd only try to discourage you.
I am already discouraged. Did you get my car on the phone again?
Yes, they apologized for cutting you off. Said it was some sort of emergency. Oh, that's probably him. Hello. Yes, Mr. Carr, one moment.
Great. Mike?
Raven, I'm really sorry about what happened. It was a very important call I had to take. My secretary cut me off before I even had a chance to say goodbye.
I don't care as long as you can talk to me right now. I just wanted to know your opinion about the case.
Well, I'm the one who obtained the indictment in the first place, Raven.
Well, I know, but you can't possibly believe that he told the truth. I mean, wasn't it obvious he was lying?
Raven, these things can't be judged by personal opinion. I have to go with the facts, and you'll have to admit, the facts are very damning.
But the jury can't convict me. It was an accident.
The fact remains, Raven, Jinx Avery is dead. And personally, I think you'd save yourself a lot of grief by simply confessing.
You make it sound like there's no chance at all.
No, Raven, I don't think you have a chance. But if you confess to the murder, well, you might reduce your sentence by a few years.
Well, there's absolutely no choice. I have to go.
How could he ask you to do such a thing?
I can't believe it. He says, oh, well, they'll give you a couple of years off your sentence if you just tell him that you killed the woman in cold blood.
You think he really knows it's hopeless?
Mike Carr would not lie to me. If he says I'm going to go to prison, then I'm going to go to prison. Okay, Nora, suppose it's all right to put that in there?
I'd bury it under the clothes.
Yeah, why don't you finish that up, and I'm going to go upstairs and finish packing.
I hope that you're traveling lightly.
How are we traveling, anyway? If we drive my car, they'll stop us.
I thought we'd take a taxi.
To the airport?
No, not to the Monticello airport. Someone might recognize you there. I thought we'd take a taxi all the way to Springfield.
All the way to Springfield?
Yeah, we can get a cab driver to take us there, and then we can fly from there to New York.
That sounds reasonable.
Now listen, I'll try to get a cab, and you go get the rest of your bags.
Okay.
Not too many.
Oh, I only have one more in my makeup case.
Smiley, it worked like a charm. You must have sounded exactly like my car. I don't know how you did it, but she's all set to leave the country. Uh-oh. I don't know, but there's a car in the drive. I hope it's not Spencer. I better go.
Nora, where is Raven?
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find. Always on my mind. And frustrated.
27 years old. Watching the USA Network.
What the hell?
Nora, where is Raven?
She's on a cruise somewhere.
Yeah, that's a story I keep getting from you and Spencer, but Geraldine Saxon gives me another story.
I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't appreciate your forcing your way in, even if you are a cop.
Oh, come on, Nora. I didn't force my way in here. You invited me, right? Now, why don't you be a good little private secretary and go tell your employer I'd like to see her?
She's not here.
Well, suppose I find out for myself. Where is she, upstairs?
You can't go up there. I won't let you.
Hey, why are you so afraid to let me see Raven? Is there something wrong with her?
No, she's off enjoying herself somewhere.
Yeah, well, obviously you're not. You look scared to death.
What's going on?
Spencer, this policeman wants to search the house.
What for, Detective? Stolen property?
Spencer, I came here to find Mrs. Whitney. I happen to know she's here.
You happen to be wrong.
Well, maybe she stepped out, but isn't that her luggage?
Is this police business, Detective?
Look, Spencer, I know that Raven is in this house, and if she is, you two have been lying to me.
But it isn't police business, is it? As a matter of fact, you're not a policeman at the moment.
What?
Don't you know, Nora? Mr. Tyler's been placed under suspension. He's in the morning news.
Oh, then you have no right to be here at all, do you?
She's right, Mr. Tyler. If you search this house without a warrant, you'll never wear that badge again.
You're right, Spencer. I'm not here in an official capacity.
I know that.
If I were, I would have brought a search warrant with me. I'm here as a private citizen, a friend of Mrs. Whitney's, and I'm very concerned about her safety.
She's perfectly safe.
How do you know?
You'll just have to take our word for it.
Look, I told you, she's not here. Mrs. Saxon was mistaken.
Mrs. Saxon?
Yes, Mrs. Saxon called me on the telephone and said she had spoken to Raven and that Raven was here in the house. You don't look so sure of yourself now, Spencer. I'll tell you what. I'll call Mrs. Saxon at the Monticello Arms, and we'll see if she can verify what I just told you.
That won't be necessary.
You beginning to see the light?
Yes, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Spencer!
Shut up, Nora. I'm going to tell you the truth only because you say you're a friend of Mrs. Whitney's.
I am.
And if you really mean that, you'll keep quiet about what I'm going to tell you. Please. Mrs. Whitney isn't on a cruise.
I think that's obvious, isn't it?
We thought it would be best to invent that explanation. And when I say we, I mean all of us, including Mrs. Whitney.
Why?
Because Mrs. Whitney is ill.
Ill? What's wrong with her?
A couple of weeks ago, she had a kind of emotional collapse. Some people would call it a nervous breakdown. I'm sorry we had to break our promise, Nora, but I don't see that we have any choice.
Oh, go on, Spencer.
We first knew what was happening when she didn't come home one night. I finally managed to locate her. She was wandering around the streets all by herself. She was incoherent for the most part. All I could understand was that she was looking for her husband, her dead husband.
And what did you do about it?
I brought her home. She asked me to. She was totally exhausted.
Did you call a doctor?
Not at first.
Why?
Well, she asked us not to. She said she was just tired. She needed some rest.
I'm sure you can understand what happened. I mean, she had a terrible experience in Switzerland, and when she brought her husband's body home, she just... Well, you should know better than most what can happen.
Yes, I do know.
It was a delayed reaction, wasn't it, Spencer?
But Raven is still in the house. She's probably upstairs in the bedroom, right?
Yes, but no one can see her, Detective, not even you.
Well, Mrs. Saxon spoke to her last night.
Oh, I know that, but she picked up the phone when Mrs. Saxon was phoning from Washington. She said untrue things to her. She made accusations.
Really not in her right mind.
And if you don't believe us, you can ask Mrs. Saxon. When she called, Mrs. Whitney accused her of running out on her. Of course, Mrs. Saxon did no such thing.
And that's why you diverted Mrs. Saxon to the Monticello Arms.
Yes. Mrs. Whitney didn't want to see her. We had to make up some excuse. We told her that the house was being painted.
Look, I am not convinced that Raven does not want to see me.
You can't go there. It's against doctor's orders.
So you did call a doctor?
Oh, well, yes. We had to, of course.
What was his name?
He wasn't here very often.
Well, he must have had a name.
Yes. Oh, I remember now. Klingerman. Dr. Johann Klingerman.
Klingerman. Where's his office?
He's not a local. He was from out of town. Mrs. Whitney asked that he be called.
Really? What's his number? I'd like to call him, too.
I don't have it. Mrs. Whitney threw it away. Apparently, she became upset with him and said she didn't want to see him anymore.
I see. Well, I guess there's nothing for me to do but to leave, right?
I hope you'll also keep quiet. Mrs. Whitney wouldn't like her problem known.
I'm sure, Spencer. Miss Fulton?
Johann Klingerman?
Well, it seems highly unlikely, Jody, that the Endicott servant was the same man you saw in Springfield.
But there must have been some slight resemblance, however.
No, I guess I've just been seeing that man's face so much in my mind I was ready to superimpose it on the first person that looked like him.
Grace Endicott was quite sure?
Yes, she was. She even had this notebook at the gallery. She checked it, and she said that there was some kind of exhibit there at the time.
Yeah, and this man helps her at the gallery.
Did she tell you what his name was?
Joseph. That's all she said.
Anyway, Joseph was in Monticello the whole time we were in Springfield, so that takes care of that.
Yep. Well, what about the portrait?
Well, I left it with her, and she said it would take 2 to 3 days before her father could show it to that expert. Anyway, I hate to leave this charming company, but I've got to get down to the studio.
Why now?
Because Kelly wants me to look at the set for tomorrow's show, see if I want to make any changes. Bye-bye.
I'll
Telephone.
get it. Hello? Yes, hello, Mr. Endicott.
How are you, Mrs. Kavanaugh?
I'm fine, thank you.
Is your charming sister at home?
Yes, she is.
Good. I have some wonderful news for her.
All right, hold on. I'll put her on. Jody?
Thanks. Hello, Mr. Endicott.
Hello, my dear. The most extraordinary thing happened after you left the gallery this morning.
Oh, yeah? What was that?
Well, I came by to say hello to Grace when someone wandered in. He didn't seem terribly interested in what we had on the walls, but when he saw what was on Grace's desk, he was absolutely fixated.
You mean my portrait?
Mm-hmm. He asked about it. I told him, of course, that it wasn't gallery property, but just the same, he made an offer for it on the spot.
He did?
And listen to this. He offered to write a check for $10,000.
Whoa, that's a lot of money.
Well, let me be honest with you, Miss. Or may I call you Jody?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, Jody, to be perfectly frank with you, it's a charming picture, but as to its value, well, we're sure it's not by a major artist. That, at the most, it might bring, between $500 and $1,000 at auction.
But I didn't have any plans to sell it.
Neither did we. Oh, but please, don't misunderstand. The gallery will take no commission, so the full amount will come to you. I can have the check there this evening. I hope you're as pleased as we are.
Wait a second, Mr. Endicott. I don't know if I want to sell the portrait. Listen, let me think it over and talk about it with my family, okay?
Of course, Jody. But do that now. The buyer's from out of town, and he's leaving this evening.
Okay, all right, I'll do that now, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
His first name. All I know is the nickname. It's Smiley. Yeah, well, Sid says that the paper just called him Smiley Wilson. No, I haven't got any dates either. Yeah, well, listen, I figured the PD in Flint couldn't have that much trouble remembering. I mean, how many burglars are there running around called Smiley, you know? Yeah, well, check it out. Get back to me, okay? I'd appreciate it. Yeah, right.
Hi, Calvin.
Hello.
Have you got a minute? I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yeah, sure.
Good. I'd like to let you know how I feel about
things.
Dee Dee, I already know how you feel.
Calvin, look, I asked you to let me to make a statement, okay? Now, would you just let me do that, please? Okay, I've always known that you had mixed emotions about the situation. It's only natural. You don't dislike Star. You've been married to her for years.
Hey, now just wait a minute,
No,
okay?
no. And the reason you wrote that letter asking her for a divorce was as a test. First, to see if you could write the letter, and then to see if you could mail it. You gave yourself a test, and you failed. Or I guess I should say you passed.
Dee Dee, that letter was not meant to be any kind of a test. I honestly always intended to mail it.
Calvin, if you wanted to, you would have, but you didn't. At the last minute, you came to me and you asked for that letter back. And I'll bet you tore it up, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Well, there you are. You needed something to force you to make a choice, and you have.
Dee Dee, you don't know how
Calvin.
wrong you are about all of this.
I've got news for you. You love your wife.
Oh, Dee Dee.
No, listen to me. Deep down, you still want Star. Okay, look, you lost something in your marriage that you thought you could find with somebody else. With me. But you still want her. Okay? Look, I'm sorry. This is the wrong place for this, and I really shouldn't, but
All right.
I just wanted to get it over with.
Yes, but now
all right?
you are going to have to let me say something,
No,
too.
no. You said it all already. You said it all when you took that letter back from me at Sid's place.
Dee Dee, listen.
Calvin, listen. Please, help me, okay? I want to make a clean break. All right? It's best for both of us and for Star. Okay, will you do that for me, please?
Would
Will you do
just
that for me,
listen,
please?
Calvin?
No.
Hi, Dee Dee.
Hello, Deacon?
She doesn't look too happy.
No.
Neither do you. Did you tell her about Star? Look, Calvin, this is not what I came to talk to you about, but I'll say this first. Look, you've got to tell Dee Dee the truth. You owe it to her, man. You have to tell Dee Dee that Star is going to have a baby. How do you like it, huh?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's great.
I just want you to relax for a minute, kind of get a feel of the place. Be sure that you're comfortable.
Oh, I am. I'm very comfortable, and the kids are going to love it. That's the most important thing, right?
Not necessarily. Listen, I got good news for you. Mrs. Saxon's back.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean, uh-oh?
Well, she's never seen me on TV before. I mean, maybe she won't approve.
Oh, come on. She's going to love you. Take my word for it, huh? In fact, I told her that you would be in contact with her tomorrow morning.
You mean all by myself?
Yep, I won't be here tomorrow.
Well, where are you going to be?
I'm starting my vacation. And listen, don't forget to feed the fish twice a day, okay?
Kelly, you picked a rotten time to go on vacation.
What do you mean? I picked a perfect time.
Well, how can you say that? How can you say that when you're going to leave me here all by myself to face Geraldine Saxon? I mean, I know she is very nice and everything, but she's just so Geraldine Saxon.
Come on, she's not going to bite you. Come on, she's as nice in business as she is at everything else.
Well, how come this is such a good time for you to get away?
Well, because a friend of mine is taking a vacation at the same time.
Oh, can I guess? Initials VB?
Yeah. Yeah, Valerie's going to be gone for a couple of weeks. She's going to visit her old haunts in Europe.
Well, that's great. You two should have a wonderful time.
Yeah.
How come you don't look happy?
Well, because she's going east and I'm going south, that's why.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, look, I want you to really get in because I want you to get a feel of it, okay? So that you'll be totally comfortable tomorrow morning. All right?
Yeah, I'd like that. Listen, everything is gonna work out, you know?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll be back in a week, okay? And I don't want you to worry about a thing, because the Penny Playroom has $1 million hostess.
Thanks. Have a good trip.
Okay. Oh, may I make the first contribution? Good luck.
Oh, boy. Hansel and Gretel lived with their stepmother and their father, a poor woodcutter, in a tiny, tumble-down cottage on the edge of a forest. They had always been poor, but when our story starts, the woodcutter had no work for weeks, and there was not a scrap of food in the house. One night...
My favorite story. Oh, no, don't stop. I want to see if it still ends the way I remember it.
It does. The big bad witch gets put in the oven and bakes to death.
My favorite, baked crone.
What are you doing here?
Well, I came to see what a real television studio looks like. I'm afraid I had to lie a bit. I told the guard that you were expecting me.
Well, I wasn't.
Sure you were. From the minute you met me, you must have known that I was, the persistent type.
Yeah, but I didn't know you were a bloodhound. How did you know I was here? Wait a second. Did you call my apartment?
You never told me where you lived.
Good. I did something right.
But I knew you worked at WMON, so I thought I'd stop by and ask about your schedule, and there you were.
Chad, who told you I worked here?
Hey, you remember my name.
Yes, but I don't remember telling you I had a job at WMON.
Oh, someone at the party told me. I don't remember who. I asked so many people about you, I can't think of them all.
You could have asked my sister or my brother-in-law.
I didn't know who they were, and I didn't think you were going to introduce me.
You're right. You were much too impertinent.
Well, I looked for them, but I couldn't find anybody named Travis.
Oh, you're kidding. Don't you know that women change their names when they get married? It's Kavanaugh.
Thank you. Now all I have to do is look up Dr. Kavanaugh, and I'll have your address.
Why didn't you just play dumb? That wouldn't take too much effort from you, Nora.
I don't think I did anything wrong. I just went along with what you told him.
You did a hell of a lot more than that. You gave him the name of a doctor, something he could verify.
Don't worry, he won't.
You think he believed that story about Mrs. Whitney? Didn't you see his face? He was very skeptical. He just couldn't disprove what we were saying at the moment. But now,
He
thanks
won't
to
be
you-
able to find any Dr. Johann Klingerman.
I realize that, Nora. I know you made it up.
That's not what I meant. There is a doctor by that name.
What?
He was my doctor when I was ill. It was the first name that popped into my head.
Oh, fine. Wonderful. Then he really does exist, which means Tyler can go check our story with him.
No, he retired over a year ago. He lives in Austria, someplace. He may even be dead by now. Look, I better see if she's all right.
Well, that wasn't very long, honey.
Oh, I don't think I'm going to have a job for much longer.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because Geraldine is coming back and she's going to be supervising the show for the next couple of weeks. Kelly is going on vacation.
Well, so what? Geraldine is delightful to work with.
Oh, I know. I just don't know if she'll make the allowances that Kelly did for my inexperience. Oh, well. If I lose my job, I know where I can get $10,000.
What do you mean? You're talking about selling the painting?
Have you made up your mind about that?
Yeah, I can't sell it. I can't. I'd feel awful. But I guess I better call Mr. Endicott.
Yes, you should. He said he needed an answer this afternoon.
I'll do that right now.
Hey, wait a minute. You didn't tell us about the new set.
Oh, the set. It's really wonderful. You'll have to see it tomorrow in the air. Hello. Yes, is Mr. Endicott there? Jody Travis. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Endicott.
Hello, Jody. Well, have you made up your mind about the portrait? Oh. I see.
I really can't sell it because, I mean, it's the only thing I've ever gotten from my mother, and I'm just sort of attached to it.
I don't blame you one bit, Jody. It's a charming picture, and it does resemble you, which makes it even lovelier.
I'm sorry, I really am, but I appreciate all you've done for me.
Oh, it's quite all right, Jody. And I still intend to make good on my promise to find out more about the artist and his model. Goodbye, my dear.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Joseph.
Yes, Mr. Endicott.
I want you to do me a favor, Joseph. I want you to find me a thief.
Did I hear you right?
You heard me. And not just any thief. A true professional who knows how to use professional skills. Find me such a man, Joseph. You can do it if anyone can.
Yes, Mr. Endicott.